avancer là-dessus.
Non, ça va, je crois pas. Parce que
ça vient pas de faire.
Ouais. Okay. Chapter 51, the continuation.
Go ahead.
So let's go back into chapter 51. It started with the analogy of a lamp where there's oil, there's a wick, and there's the flame. The oil, well, we'll start with the wick. The wick is the body, the flame is the Shekhinah, and the oil is the mitzvot. So what keeps the body from burning slowly, not burning up quickly, is the mitzvot. In order for us to have the Shekhinah come down to this to our lives, okay? Because before, in the time of the temple, the Shekhinah, the main resting place of the Shekhinah was in the holies of holies. Today, our holies of holies is in every single person. It's our brain, okay? Now, how could the Shekhinah be in one place if we say that God is everywhere, right?
Ah oui.
Remember the question, that big question?
Oui,
Si on dit que la Shekhinah est partout, God is everywhere in every single place. For the whole entire world to exist, God has to be in every single place. So how can you say that the Shekhinah is only in Kodesh HaKodashim, in the holiest of holy? So the Alter Rebbe brings the example of a body and a soul. There's a body and the soul. There's the soul. The main resting place of the soul is in the brain. But how does it express itself in the body? So first, there's the essence of the soul. The essence of the soul is a part of the soul that's so high that cannot relate to any part of the body, but at the same time is everywhere in the body in order to just give it life. So the essence of the soul, the part of that soul that's really high, is equal in the brain and the toenail.
And the what?
And the toenail. It's equal basically in the whole entire body, no matter what.
Comment tu définirais l'essence of the soul?
L'essence, l'essentiel.
Oui, l'essence, oui.
L'essentiel.
Oui.
How do you define it?
Voilà. Mais comment?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I'm sorry.
It's
because there's the soul, but what is the essence of the soul?
The essence of the soul is.
C'est comme demander ce qu'est l'âme. C'est un peu ma question est un peu. Ouais.
Well, it's.
Non, l'âme, on peut la définir, mais l'essence de l'âme.
It's the highest part of the soul that we can define it.
C'est ce qui est le plus le core.
Yeah, the core, exactly. So that part of the soul.
That core is God Himself.
Very important to know that the soul is a part of God. It's not God. We are not God. That's where people get confused. We have a part of God, but we are not God.
So it's inside the soul, inside the.
It's a part that's God, unlimited.
There is this soul, there is this essence. Okay, c'est comme le noyau dans un fruit.
Peut-être. I'm not very good at examples for this one because I don't know if I understand what the essence of the soul is. But I see it as a part that's so high that can't be defined. Like, you know, when we say there's a part of the soul that defines the auditory and the vision and all that, that's more defined. That's less of the essence. So the essence is before that. And this energy from the essence goes everywhere in the body just to give it life. It's everywhere. But it's not defined. No, for now we're talking about the soul and the body. Just forget about the Shekhinah, then we'll get back to the Shekhinah, okay? So the essence of the soul is the energy that gives over to the whole entire body, equally. It's the same everywhere, okay? It's the same energy that just gives life force to everything in your body. Then, there's a second level where the soul rests in the mind. The most comfortable part for the soul, the part of the body where that is the most refined and the best suited for the soul is the mind. And that's where the soul rests and stays.
Ok, est-ce qu'on peut...
Yes.
Là, il n'y a pas le truc, donc tu vas souffrir un peu.
Bah ouais.
It's okay, challenge me. I want to be challenged.
Ok, entre the mind and the brain.
Il y a une différence, ouais.
Oui, the brain, I see it like more physical.
No, it is, no, I know, it is the physical brain. We're talking about the physical brain.
Okay, how about when the brain is damaged.
Ben
Ouais.
oui.
So that
Genre, tu fais un
it's
ACV ou tu fais un... Ben oui.
Oui, ou un enfant qui naît
Ou
avec
déprimé.
The
ou
soul
même
is
la
still there.
dépression,
avec
il y a
la
damage.
moitié
The
d'un
When
soul-
you're depressed,
yeah.
your brain is damaged.
no, no. Depression is not brain damage. Depression is something else.
Damage maybe it's
It's
strong,
missing
but it's a brain
a liquid,
illness.
but it's
C'est pas une maladie mentale un peu la dépression?
c'est pas un damage.
C'est chimique, mais c'est pas un damage in the sense that
Pour moi,
it's taken
damage c'est
half
juste
of
une
it out.
faiblesse, c'est pas genre. c'est
Non,
pas
damage c'est quand une personne, tu sais, elle peut plus bouger
Ah,
parce
non,
qu'elle
non,
a.
non, ok.
So, the brain again is physical. If it's damaged, the soul is still there, right? It's still functioning. A person can still function
Right.
even if he's damaged. After, it doesn't mean because the exterior part is damaged that, you know. But again, I was reading. Cheryl had a question that where she
Ouais,
asked
je me rappelle, ouais.
if you have an illness or something that's not functioning, does that mean that your soul? So something else. We'll get to the answer after that. I
But
heard.
just so you
I don't
know.
know where I was, but I don't. That's
So
Tu
also
étais
part of my
partie quand
question.
elle avait, tu venais de partir et elle avait demandé la question.
So
extérieure, elle faisait
I
des
found the
questions.
answer, and I will tell you a few stories. But
Mais,
I want to first understand these three levels of connection between the soul and the body. There's three levels of connection. The first connection is the soul, the essence of the soul that connects to the whole entire body, that gives energy to the whole entire body
function.
equally to function,
Okay.
to stay alive.
Like digest, breathe.
No,
sleep.
no. Before that, just to stay alive.
No, but wait a second. That's a very important.
There's three levels.
Non, attends, 2 secondes. Je me suis toujours demandé, est-ce que c'est Dieu qui fait fonctionner comme le clignement des yeux, la digestion, la réflexion,
Mais
le...
tout il fait
like,
fonctionner.
Alors, so it's the soul.
But wait.
Indirectement.
There's three
Ah.
levels. I'm trying to explain the three levels. So the first level, the first energy is the essence, where
Yeah.
it gives you an energy just for it to be alive. The second level is where the soul comes into the mind and expresses itself in the mind, and everything that the soul puts in the mind. Eventually, the third level, the mind gives over every messages that comes from the soul. So the soul gave that to the mind. Every energy from every clignotant, every movement you do in your
Des
body
stimulus, ouais.
is starting from the soul. So whatever our body expresses is really an expression from the soul. Okay, so our body, our mind, or our brain, our brain first experience visual and hearing and walking
Touching,
and
smelling.
moving and smelling, and all that first happens in the mind because it's a soul sending it. It's a soul power. And they said, I heard something interesting, that a person who loses a limb,
C'est quoi le...
a membre,
Yeah.
he can have pain
Ouais.
in that hand, even if it doesn't
Comme
exist.
s'il était
Why?
encore là.
Parce que
Why?
l'énergie est toujours
Because
là.
what's the energy?
L'habitude,
What is the energy? Because it really, everything exists in a soul level. And the soul level will not be removed. Even if the limb was removed, the soul limb is still there. Do you understand?
I read something like two or 3 days ago about that. It was a Reiki, somebody who does Reiki massage, energy
Ouais, ouais,
massage.
ouais, j'adore le Reiki.
Ouais. And he said that he did that to his father who was amputated of both
Ouais.
legs,
Mhm.
and he felt the legs. He had
That's-
to.
Oui, oui, ils ont cette
He
sensation fantôme.
he
un
had
peu.
to do it on a
Sur
part-
rien.
Yeah.
Sur rien,
On
comme
no-
s'il avait
on
encore
nothing.
ses
So
jambes.
this can explain us
Interesting.
how the soul first has the limbs and then gives that energy into every limb for us to be able to move and function
C'est chaud,
and
ce sujet-là, quand
and
même,
breathe
ouais.
and
Oui.
smell and
Okay. I don't know if science would agree with that, but...
so these are the three levels. Science and
I
Judaism
think
goes
it-
hand in hand.
It does.
Ouais.
More or less, I'm not so sure. I haven't read everything about that, but I think it does.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so you understood the three levels of the soul. There's the essence of the soul,
Yeah.
just to keep it alive.
Yeah.
Then there's the soul living comfortable in the mind and starting off in the mind. And then finally the soul spreading that energy in particular to every single part of the body in order for it to function and to have that strength. Now there's an interesting story, two stories I'm going to bring. There's the Rebbe, I'm not sure which Rebbe, maybe the Rebbe Rashab, who was going to a doctor for his hearing. He had a hearing problem issue. And his son said, what happened? You didn't have a hearing issue. What happened to you? He said that he was giving a discourse, a public discourse, and he was talking and people were talking, and it was really disturbing him so much that his brain told his ear not to hear it anymore and stopped hearing. And because of that, he had a hearing problem and he had to go back to a doctor in order to fix that issue. So here we see how the brain can control our hearing, our seeing, our, you know, and
c'est le principe de l'hypnose un peu aussi. Tu sais, quand ils font de l'hypnose, où les marcheurs, ceux qui marchent sur les cendres de feu brûlants, sans rien ressentir. Pourquoi toi et moi on va marcher, on va se brûler, et eux ils marchent sans rien ressentir? C'est le contrôle mental.
Yes.
So what, they have a higher soul connection?
No, it's just knowing how to use your brain, or how to, you know. The Moshe Rabbeinu, what happened? He had a problem talking. Do you know why he had a problem talking?
Il bégayait, hein?
Because he had so much to say. He brought the Torah. He was the one who brought the Torah from the high world to the low world, that God had to put a stop because he couldn't say too much. So sometimes this gives an answer to when someone doesn't function properly. It's not because they're less better, or they have a problem with their soul. Sometimes their soul is so high that it can't express itself in a physical body, and their body has to kind of stop it. Just like Moshe Rabbeinu, who had a speech impairment. Almost he couldn't talk. His brother had to talk for him. So this les
exclut de la société.
But it's we have to understand that these people come from really high sources and they have very high souls, and sometimes their soul cannot be expressed in a physical way, so they have a malfunction. I don't know if that's the word, but they have something that's not working. They're talking, they're seeing, they're not because they're less better, but because they're higher. And the Rebbe actually spoke about autistic children, how their soul are from really high levels. They have a direct, very special connection to Hashem. So I don't know if this is the answer to your question, but but I think it's very powerful just to think about it. When Moshe Rabbeinu's mouth didn't work, it's not because he could his soul can't talk, it's because his soul had so much to talk, so much to say, that we had to put in barrière. Hashem had to put a barrier.
In this case it works, but then other case we don't know, right?
We don't know, but we do know that they are a high soul.
C'est comme ce qui arrive à la mère d'Amanda, par exemple. Je te dis, so what is it? Is it that the soul
stopped giving? No, the soul stopped giving function to.
So is it
why?
dormant?
We don't know.
No, not why, but is it dormant?
No. So we here. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I would think that the soul is still there in essence, and that's why Torah is very careful not to pull the plug on anyone before, because as long as the body's functioning, the soul is there.
No, but
even
the body
if
is not functioning.
But her body is functioning in essence. There's energy. She's alive. So it is functioning. Okay. So the soul is still there. So there's 3 levels of the soul. There's a soul where it gives just enough energy for it to survive. There's a soul, and I would think, I'm not the scientist, but I would think that that's how those 3 levels, when one level doesn't function, the soul is still there. It could be in the mind, and then the soul, if it stops spreading out through the whole body, giving it energy to function, that's what I would think is
so
someone
again,
who.
The conclusion that we had last week that was very powerful. If you have a physical issue, you need to check your soul.
So that always anything physical is connected to your spiritual.
Ça veut dire, si tu expérimentes que Dieu préserve une maladie ou une faiblesse un peu quelque part, c'est quoi? Tu dois renforcer le côté soul. So
right? There's something in your spirituality that needs to be reinforced. It's connected. The soul and the body is connected, hand in hand. It works together. And again, for people.
That's why sometimes rabbis can do miracles, like tzaddikim can do miracles on people.
They
on
also
their body,
understand
because
what
maybe they're gonna even plus
they
voir.
understand on a soul level what is happening and what needs to be fixed.
C'est fou, parce que ça va loin. Tu peux te dire, pourquoi ceux qui n'arrivent pas à avoir d'enfants, est-ce que c'est un problème de soul aussi si elle n'arrive pas à tomber enceinte? Après 10 ans, elle tombe enceinte. Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé là? Tu vois,
est-ce qu'on peut avoir des choses dans notre vie qui viennent de vie passée?
Ouais.
Yes, of course. I was
ça,
just
ça,
reading
c'est
that
vrai.
when I googled, not when I googled, when I researched why we get sicknesses or different issues or whatever. So they were talking about reincarnations, how you come with the issues. There's a story I remember. I was blown away. I read a book. I think it was Anaël. It was a French book of a girl who was handicapped. And her mother found a way to communicate with her through like a
board. Yeah.
And she wrote that she's the gilgul of the grandmother of her mother's mother, I think. And she came back to fix one thing.
Crazy.
and she was fully handicapped,
Yeah,
but she passed away eventually, like I guess elle devait venir comme l'enfant de sa mère. Avant, elle était la mère, but she had to.
C'était la mère avant, tu dis?
I think she was the mother.
Of the mother, so the
Yeah,
grandmother.
she was the neshama of the grandmother. Anyways, these are things we don't have to focus on too much because it's not our understanding. But just know that everything comes from a spiritual and can be fixed from the spiritual way. In the spiritual.
Donc aussi, pour moi, ça me dit que tout est à sa place. Quand on voit un enfant handicapé, une famille avec un enfant handicapé, on sait qu'il y a une raison pour ça. Mais on ne connaît pas la raison, mais il y a une raison divine pour ça.
But at the same time, it's not us to say, oh, there's a reason. We still should not accept certain things. We shouldn't accept.
C'est sûr, parce que c'est aussi une invitation pour les autres de faire quelque chose, essayer de régler le problème.
Exactly.
Ça me touche ce sujet, je sais pas, je suis quand même un peu...
Écoute, ma mère et mon père, ça a toujours été chien et chat. Ça veut dire se disputer. Ma mère était terrible avec mon père. Mais elle avait pas le cerveau très solide aussi. Elle était née très prématurée. Ça n'avait jamais été parfait là-dedans, en haut. Quand elle était âgée, elle
fait la démence?
Elle a eu l'Alzheimer et il y a eu un moment, elle est sortie de l'Alzheimer, ça faisait comme 3-4 ans qu'elle ne parlait pas, qu'elle savait plus qui j'étais, me connaissait pas. Elle s'est rappelée de ma fille plus longtemps que ma fille qu'elle n'a vue que quelques jours. 3-4 jours.
Que toi?
Que moi. C'était presque vexant.
Mais je comprends.
Mais non, je n'étais pas vexée. Mais à un moment, elle est sortie de l'Alzheimer, mais complètement. Et mon père m'a dit, elle s'est excusée pour toute la merde qu'elle m'a donnée pendant tout notre mariage.
Wow.
Et elle est retombée dedans.
Wow.
Et
so what does it explain?
L'Alzheimer, c'est pas forcément... Ou le coma, parce qu'on a vu des gens dans le coma faire des choses comme ça aussi.
C'est pas forcément quoi?
C'est un moment, ça peut être un moment où le cerveau s'absente. Enfin, le cerveau, moi je dis le cerveau là, mais bon, où l'âme s'absente, quelque chose comme ça, et va faire un nettoyage ou quelque chose, subit quelque chose pour se rendre compte de ce qu'elle a pu faire dans la vie et revenir pour demander pardon. Parce que demander pardon ici et être pardonné, c'est bien mieux que de se faire punir de l'autre côté. Donc, et puis c'est guérisseur pour l'autre.
Yeah, for sure.
Aussi.
Wow.
Donc c'est pas forcément quelque chose de mal. Bon, maintenant, si ça m'arrive, je chialer,
on espère quand même. We want to find there's a nuance. Here it's at the same time we can see the good in it, but at the same time we don't want it to exist, and we want to find ways of healing Alzheimer, and so we have to live with both of that, like understanding the beauty in ugliness and negativity, and that God sends everything for a reason, but at the same time that's not the world we want. That's not a world where we want people to be sick and forget. And
when Mashiach comes,
all sicknesses will go away. Okay, so let me read inside a little bit. והנה אין שינוי קבלת הכוחות והחיות שבאברי הגוף מן הנשמה מצד עצמה ומהוסה שיהיה מהוסה והעצמוסה מתחלק לרמת חלקים שונים מסלבשים ברמ"ח מקומות כפי ציור חלקי מקומות אברי הגוף. Now, the variation in receiving the powers and life force by the organs of the body from the soul does not derive from the soul's essence and being. Remember, we spoke about the essence? That its being and essence is divided into 248 different parts, which are enclosed in 248 locations according to the design of the various locations of the body. So there's the essence, and then there's another part of the soul. Okay, let me just understand where there's. We would say that within the soul itself there are already.
C'est normal, tu sens ta famille.
Okay, so again we said there's the first. What it's saying over here is that there's 3 levels. It's just explaining what I explained before. There's the essence. That essence of the soul gives the energy for everything to
the body
to exist. But then there's another part of the soul which has specific powers, right? Specific energies that gives over to all 248 limbs of the body, okay? So that's different than the essence. שלפי זה נמצא עצמוס המהוסה מצויר בציור הגשמי ודימות ותבנית כתבנית הגוף חס ושם. Because according to this, it would follow that the soul's essence and being is designed in a physical design and a likeness and structure similar to the structure of the body, God forbid. So if we thought that like the essence of the soul is not like the body, it's a part of God, it's something beyond us, our understanding. But then the energy that it gives is like the body. The energy that the soul gives to every part of the body is similar to every part of the body, but not the essence. It's very important to understand that.
That's like the sun.
Exactly. Beautiful. Exactly. Like the sun and the rays. There's the sun.
Which is the soul. The essence.
Exactly. The essence, which is super hot. Can you say that the rays that you receive is as hot as the essence? No. Exactly. We can't. But the ray, can we say that is separate from the sun? So that's exactly like the essence. Okay, we needed an example.
There is the essence of the soul, and there is the energy that comes from that.
Exactly, that goes in the mind.
Le body. No,
exactly.
C'est elle qui
from the mind.
Yes. Okay.
From the mind. Okay. So that's where we can understand that. Yeah, thank you for that example. It actually written in here, so it's interesting. Yeah. Ela kula etzem echad ruchni pashut umufshat mikol sior gashmi b'pchinas v'geder makam umida v'gvul gashmi. Rather, entirely a single spiritual entity, divested of any physical design and of any type and definition and physical space, measure, and limitation. It's important to understand that we can never define spirituality. Godliness cannot be defined. Okay? It's only when it comes through the tzimtzum and all the descents that it has more, that it becomes more defined. Yeah. Mitzad mehusa v'atzmusa. The soul is free of all such dimensions by virtue of its intrinsic being and essence. ולא שייך במהוסה ועצמוסה לומר שהוא במוחין שבריש יסר במברגליים מאחר שמהוסה ועצמוסה אינה בגדר ובחינס מקם וגבול גשמי. And it is not valid to say concerning the soul's being and essence that it is in the brain of the head more than in the feet. It's very important to understand this. That because of the essence, it cannot be defined, right? It's not physical, it's not defined, you can't limit it. So you can't say that it's more in the brain than in the feet. The essence is equal everywhere. רק שתרי"ג מיני כוחות וחייס כלולים בה במהוסה ועצמוסה לצאת אל הפועל והגילוי מהעולם. Rather, 613 kinds of functional powers and vital forces are included within the soul. So within the soul, there's different kind of powers. Within its being and essence to become actualized and to emerge from this concealment. So the soul in essence, through reading this, we have our answer. How do you explain the essence? The essence includes the whole soul, everything. It's a sun, right? The sun includes the rays, it has everything. It's the heat, it's the light. Within, it includes all the powers, right? The soul has all the powers for the body to function. But you can't say that the essence is divided, is different.
More in the heart or in
exactly, it's equal.
Les gens qui sont handicapés, tout à coup, c'est quoi?
They have that essence everywhere. Every human being has that part of the essence is equal everywhere in their body. But the power, the soul powers that are found within that essence are expressed differently for everybody else, for everyone according to, להחיוס רמ"ח איבר ושסה גידין שבגוף על ידי הסלבשוס בנפש אחיינו שיש לה גם כן רמ"ח ושסה כוחות וחייס הללו. So in order to animate 248 organs and 365 blood vessels of the body throughout the functional powers of the divine soul becoming enclosed within the animating soul, which also possesses the corresponding 248 and 365 functional powers and vital forces. So everything's included in that essence.
Il y avait un lien entre les nombres d'organes et de vaisseaux et les mitzvot.
Yes, the same amount of mitzvahs are the same amount of organs.
No. We don't have 360.
No, but there's 248 limbs.
Il y a les négatifs et il y a les positifs, les mitzvot.
Exactly, there's 248 limbs, and then there's the blood vessels. So all that is included.
C'est combien de mitzvot déjà? 313.
613.
613. Okay.
So.
C'est beaucoup.
Il y en a qui font 612 et ils font pas l'autre. Hier, je parlais de ça, mais je sais que vous
612? Ouais. Well, you can't do all of the mitzvot because some of them include when the Bet HaMikdash are here and you can't do everything. So you can't do, il fait pas 612.
Non, parce qu'il disait, je fais 612 sauf celle-là, mais j'essaie de me rappeler c'est c'était juste drôle, mais tu as raison que ça fait du sens que même ça, c'est...
So again, I'm going to repeat it because it's something, this example is going to explain us actually after how Hashem is expressed in this world. So the essence of the neshama includes everything, all the powers of every single 248 limbs and what did it say? 365 blood vessels. Together makes 613. Okay. So 248 organs, 365 blood vessels, all included within that essence. That essence of our neshama gives the energy throughout the body, equally, everywhere. Yes?
Ouais, ça va. Les émotions et tout ça, les feelings, les émotions.
That's the midot.
No?
Yeah, but everything, the neshama includes all the everything.
Okay. Like happiness and sadness come from neshama.
Well, the neshama, how the structure of the neshama is the midot. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet. We learned this already.
Yeah, but like more in details, like
this is a neshama, and these are all our emotions.
We have happiness there, and
well, from Chesed is happiness,
and sadness would be
from Gvura.
Okay.
Let's go back to this. Why is it important? Because then, v'hine alam shachas kol taryag mine kochot v'chayis ma'alam haneshama el haguf le'achayis. Now, concerning the flow of all the 613 kinds of functional powers and vital forces which are drawn from the concealment of the soul to the body to animate it, aliyah amru she'ikar mishchina ve'ashar shel hamshacha zu v'giloi zehu kula b'maychen sheberesh. Concerning this flow have said that the principal dwelling place and abode. So now we go to the second level. All this energy of these functional 613 kinds of functional powers, right? So the essence is everywhere. It's everywhere in our body. But the main part of the functional part of the neshama, which with all the 613 functional powers, is where?
Brain.
In the brain. Okay? ולכן הם מקבלים תחילה הכוח והחייס הראוי להם לפי מזוגסם וסכונסם שהן חב"ד וכוח מחשבה וכל השייך למוחם. Therefore it is they, the brains, which first receive the power and life force appropriate to them according to their composition and character, namely called Chabad, right? Chokhmah bina da'at, and the faculty of thought and whatever pertains to the brain. So they're the one the brain is, the three parts of the brain, Chokhmah bina da'at, is the first part that receives all those powers of your soul. And also it explains certain people have more talents than others, is when that function in their brain is more revealed than another function.
C'est un coup de loterie, c'est tu l'as ou tu l'as pas, ou c'est...
No, it's a gift. C'est quoi?
Les maths. Tu es bon en maths ou pas?
It's a gift. It's a gift, yes.
C'est à la loterie, c'est chacun.
But again, where does that gift come from? Comes from the neshama, which has all the functions, and that happened to be more revealed within that person than another person.
It's too bad we cannot tell our teachers it's not my fault, it's my neshama.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
ולא זו בלבד, אלא כללוס כל המשחס החייס לשאר האיברים גם כן כלולה ומלובשת במוחם שבראש. And not only this, but also the overall flows of all the streams of vitality to the organ is also included and enclosed in the brain of the head, okay? Again, it's going through the three levels, okay? ושם הוא העיקר ושורשה של המשכה זו בבחינת גילוי האור והחייס של כל הנשמה כולה. And it is there in the brain that the core and source of the said flow exist in a form in which the light and vitality of the entire soul are revealed. ומשם מספשטס הערה לשאר כל האיברים ומקבל כל אחד כוח וחייס הראוי כפי מזוגה וסכונסי כוח הראויה מסגלה באין כוח השמיע באוזן וכו'. And from there, from the brain, finally to the third level, radiance flows to all the organs, each of which receives the functional power and vital force appropriate to it according to its composition and character. The power of sight is revealed in the eye, the power of hearing in the ear, and so on. Okay? Again, I said it in more details. Why is it important? Because from that, we can understand how God is revealed in this world. So there's the Shekhinah, there's the essence of God. Sorry, I'm going to remove the word Shekhinah because it's going to be confusing. The essence of God, the part of Hashem that includes everything, is revealed everywhere in the world equally. From the plants to the lowest rock, they have the essence, the revelation of the essence of God. For a rock, for a piece of sand, for a piece of dust to exist, it has the essence of God in it. Where does all the functional part of God reside? The functional part of God that gives energy to the specific energy to everything in the world, where does that reside? In the Kodesh HaKodashim. Do you understand how the brain, how the soul was divided? Right? Mm-hmm. There's the essence that includes everything that's high, that cannot be defined, that can be separated, that can be, specific, has specific characteristic. All that essence is revealed everywhere equally in every single part of the world. But then the part of God that has functions, that has specific functions, that gives vitality to specific things, this is in the Kodesh HaKodashim. And today, we don't have a Kodesh HaKodashim, so it went down to the lowest level, to every single human being. Their Kodesh HaKodashim is our mind. But we have to understand, what does Shekhinah mean? Shekhinah means rest. It's a part of God that wants to rest, relax. So He's in this world. He exists in this world, in everything, but He also wants to be experienced. How is He experienced? How is God experienced? How do you experience godliness in this world? Is through Torah and specifically through mitzvot. every single world has that part of Kodesh HaKodeshim, that Chachma, that brain. In every part of the world, there's a brain where God expresses himself. But in every world, he expresses himself. His Torah is expressed differently. In our world, how is it expressed? How do you experience godliness? Is when you do a mitzvah. When you take that wisdom, that high wisdom from God, that came from God's original, I don't know if you can say brain, because God doesn't have a brain, but for us to understand, but God's essence, the highest part of God, it came down through every part of the world. Through every world, it went through the brain. And then it went through all the parts of the world. And then it came down to the next world through the brain and expresses. And then to the next. And finally to our world through our brain. And finally, when we learn Torah, we bring godliness. In a place of Torah, there's godliness. And when we do a mitzvah, we actually experience godliness. God is able to be expressed and experienced in this world.
Wow.
It's powerful. So do you understand why we had to understand how the neshama works in order to understand how God is expressed and experienced? Not expressed, experienced. How godliness is experienced. How God really is in this world. When we take a mezuzah, we take a scroll that is from the cow, and we use ink that is from, I'm not sure where the ink is, and the feather, and you write the mezuzah, and you put it in a plastic or a wooden box, all that, and you move your hand to kiss it. It's all very physical. This is how you experience godliness. You experience godliness through halacha, very practical halachot that are very physical. You take a candle, you strike the match, you light it, you move your hands, that movement of your hand, that energy. You work hours and hours, you make money. That sweat that you sweated to make that money, you take that money and you give it to a poor. You are expressing godliness. You are experiencing godliness. You are bringing that highest part of God, that highest energy, into a very physical part of God, and that's how you experience godliness in this world. And that is the oil that will keep that wick lit with the Shekhinah on top. If there's no oil, it's going to burn up, because God wants to be there no matter what. God is everywhere. But what keeps it from staying and burning and staying is the oil, the mitzvot that we do.
And what is it to be burning and like in a neshama way? Like, is it to feel alive? Or
so very important that we don't feel it. We don't feel what we do. When we do a mitzvah, we don't see.
Non, c'est pas ça que je veux dire.
I don't think you feel it.
The oil that is what keeps
it's
your
a spiritual thing
alive.
that no, not neshama. It keeps the Shekhinah.
The Shekhinah
very
alive.
Different. That fire that's above the flame is not your neshama. Your neshama
I want to go back to the mitzvot. When you do Torah et mitzvot, this is what the oil
keeps the Shekhinah. The fire is the Shekhinah
above here.
Yes, it's what keeps the part of God. That's not your neshama. It's a Shekhinah.
It's a Shekhinah
that's in this world.
And what are we supposed to?
We don't feel it. We don't, just know we don't feel it. Maybe tzaddikim feel it, but we don't feel our actions. We cannot feel what happens when we give tzedakah, or when we light candles, or when we when we keep kosher, and when we separate meat and milk, and we don't feel it.
What's the point to bring
because
the
when
oil alive,
because we keep the Shekhinah in this world.
And then what?
And when Mashiach comes, we will see what Torah and Mitzvah did, the difference. Okay. It's a process.
No, because like, let's say I want to start doing more Torah and Mitzvah because it brings more oil to my Shekhinah, then what it brings me to motivate me.
It's not about you.
No, okay, so it's
about God.
But I am the one that's gonna do Torah and Mitzvot.
So how you motivate is
is
knowing that the real difference that you do in this world is really that. Everything else does make a difference.
So by serving God,
by doing a mitzvah, is the only thing that will make an actual change in this world, in all the worlds. Every time we do a mitzvah, we're making a huge change.
Pas à l'échelle mondiale, à ma petite échelle à moi, si je veux être encouragée à être plus religieuse, je commence à faire plus de Torah et Mitzvot. qu'est-ce que je devrais me dire comme? Tu vois ce que je veux dire? Je sais pas si tu me comprends.
Je te comprends, mais il faut aussi savoir que c'est très selfless. It's not about you. You have to remove yourself.
I hear you.
So you'll never find something that...
Yeah, but you have to have a purpose. For me to do something,
your purpose is knowing that this is your mission. You were created in this world for this.
For what?
For bringing Torah, to bring godliness, to make the Shekhinah be able to continue and experience in this world. The Shekhinah wants to be here. It's everywhere. It's above everyone's head. But is there the oil that's keeping it from being lit, or is it just, you know?
So it's every individual responsibility to keep this
that Shekhinah experiencing that. In
order
to bring God into this world and revealed. What's going to happen when Mashiach comes? Why is there going to be no more evil? Because it's going to be, the truth is going to be so clear. There's going to be no more sickness because the truth is going to, all this comes from us not being able to see godliness, from us not being able to see the truth, from us not being able to understand between bad and good.
But I see godliness in so many other ways than Torah and mitzvot. Like quand tu te promènes dans la nature et que tu vois tellement la...
It's a different aspect of God, but it's...
Comme pour moi, quand je vais faire un vrai hike ou une bonne immersion dans la nature, I connect with God and godliness like in a powerful way.
But this is God's will. The Torah and mitzvot is God's will. And this is where, of course, you connect you, but this is a different part of God. Ça c'est à lui, c'est besoin, c'est qu'on peut pas, we'll never be able to understand. I don't understand. You think I understand why I cover my hair and why I don't understand. I don't enjoy it all the time. I believe, I try, work on myself. Sometimes I'm like, am I crazy? You know, I do question myself all the time. Because it's not about, I don't find anything
that is,
you know, it's difficult to find a sense.
I don't find sense in it. It's a lie to say.
Between te couvrir la tête ou je te dis Sterna, viens, on va aller faire du volontariat dans un orphelinat.
That's beautiful. Kindness for me makes more sense.
Voilà,
yes.
C'est une mitzvah qui est pas tellement claire dans les commandements, you know.
What do you mean clear?
Genre, on me dit pas d'aller voir des enfants qui ont pas de parents.
For sure.
And then,
are you kindness is a huge deal. It's a huge mitzvah, kindness. To help for the orphans, the poor, for sure.
Yeah, but you can see the finality of it.
The whole
covering your hair. What's the finality? There's none.
There isn't. We don't understand.
Or eating kosher. I do eat kosher, but sometimes also I'm like,
it makes no sense kosher. Why certain foods yes, certain foods no? Why separating? Nothing makes sense. For people to say it makes sense, it's not true. But that's where it's Hashem's will. And kindness. Also, sometimes you can do kindness that hurts you. You want to do kindness sometimes you have to do a certain kindness that hurts you. I can't give an example right now, but
j'essaie de voir how kindness can hurt, but like if you say that you have something in
but
mind,
I'm saying, and I don't have something in mind, but when I say like
that goes
it's not about you.
Against your will.
It's not about you, basically. Yeah.
Okay, tu as pas envie et tu dois aller
exactly.
Faire. Comme pardonner des fois. Tu as pas pardonner and you still
exactly.
Have to. Okay,
but the whole Torah is based on V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, to love the other like yourself. So it's all about kindness.
Start with loving yourself first. Moi je dirais c'est Dieu.
For sure. All this to say, I want to conclude. What time is it? It's almost 1.
It's the best part of Tanya now because
it's a conclusion of Tanya. Isn't that
but
crazy?
It's also the meaning of Tanya is eventually, I guess, selon moi, que l'Alter Rebbe, il veut nous ramener vers faire plus de Torah.
Yes, very practical.
So that's why I'm so much into asking these questions, because at the end of the day, the book is finished, but then am I more into actions than I was 3 years ago before starting Tanya? Tu comprends mon point? Alors comme aujourd'hui, j'aimerais même un pas à la fois. Like for me,
it's not about doing everything.
Cachère, je vois plus de vin qui est pas cachère, comme c'est un point. Alors peut-être que là, je veux commencer à comprendre que c'est un peu d'humilité de se dire mais c'est la volonté de Dieu de faire comme ça. Alors, on s'en fout de ce que toi tu veux. Just start doing how He wants. And this I need to still work on that for me.
Well, I think we'll find out there is a reason somewhere.
One day we'll understand the reasons, but for now, I don't find any logic in most of the things I do. I question myself all the time.
How do you do it then?
First,
is it a faith issue that you are higher in faith than I am?
No. First of all, I was born into it, so that helps.
Okay, je comprends. Ouais.
So I don't know. I question. I ask myself, if I wasn't born into it, would I do it? I don't know. I don't know if I would do it.
Et se rebeller, c'est pas une option.
I question everything.
Non, rebeller dans le sens de dire, okay, even if I grew up in it, it's not my thing.
Yes, there's people who rebel all the time, and that's okay. And I went through my own rebellion. You know, I didn't believe. I went through stages where I didn't believe. But today, whatever I do, I believe because I haven't seen anything else better.
Okay.
I really believe in the Jewish people, and I believe in God, and I believe in these books. And if these books are telling us that this is the will of God, then if someone proves me otherwise, that there's a different will of God, then maybe I'll, but I haven't seen anything better out there that...
Non, mais je crois que tu as vraiment une très forte foi. Parce que de continuer à faire, même quand tu questionnes, c'est que c'est un amour fou, quoi.
It doesn't come from a love. There's many things. First of all, I have faith. I think a lot of it is my father. I have a really strong connection to my father who chose to be religious with parents who were not religious.
So you want to
continue? Yes, I want to continue it for him. And I also feel like so many Jews were killed. So just because they were Jewish, I'm not giving up my Judaism because of I don't believe or because of my selfish reasons or because, So this is something personal. But I just want to end the class that the fact that action is so important unites us as a nation. Why? Because if it was how you feel about God or how you're refined or how your relationship was with God, it wouldn't be equal. Everyone would have different. Some people feel less, some people feel more, some people are more refined. But the fact that it has nothing to do, of course, intention, right? We learned so much about intention, how important. But the Alter Rebbe ends off to tell us that your action is important. That means a simple person who does the action and someone who's super high and super spiritual action is equal. You and me, we're equal. It's all about the action. It's what you do. Whether you feel it or not. It's your action. Of course, intention is very important. But it unites us all as one people because it's all about the action. And that's what I want to end my class off.
C'est intéressant.